Hello again. Welcome back. This is episode 2. I have some more things to show you. I was actually surprised at the amount of new things that I can still show. Without further ado, enjoy this compilation of clips of my daily normal life here in Singapore.
Alright, so shortly after uploading last week's vlog, I went to get some food. Now, if you've ever been in Singapore, or if you've ever talked to me about what my favorite food in Singapore is, none of what you're about to see should be a surprise to you. After acquiring the bag, I saw a nice view with some nice cars. On Monday, I went to the gym again. Here is an overview of all the workouts that I did this week. I don't think I'm going to be showing much of my workouts from this point on because it's kind of all of the same. For lunch on Monday, I actually went and picked up my absolute favorite food from Hawker Center. It was super busy this afternoon. Still, when I showed up to the stand, the lady behind the stand asked me if I wanted the same, which is this chicken karaage curry. After that, I made some excellent use of my new Muji pillow by doing some reading. Then I picked up some food, watched a show, if you know, you know, and called it a day.
Good morning. It is 6:30 and it's absolutely pouring rain. So let's go to the gym.
Since a lot of y'all really liked last week's hyperlapse, thank you for all that feedback. I decided to make another one. This is basically what it looks like if I walk to the gym every morning. Work on Tuesday, me and my colleagues actually had a team event where we rented this space where you could play all kinds of board games and even do some karaoke. We ordered some food here. It was very lovely. On Wednesday, I went to work and I actually filmed the view from our office.
Alright y'all, I wanted to give a quick little shout out because I've been going to this Japanese place about once every week and a half and the person that's usually working there is a little bit timid and quiet, so I don't always get a good grasp on whether or not they want me to actually be there. But today, I actually, they gave me, I don't know if you can see this.
They gave me free gyoza with my order.
So cute. So cute. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you.
On Thursday, after work, my colleagues brought me to this beautiful street where we went to get some authentic Chinese food. Actually had to wait quite a while in order to get in because there's not really like a reservation system. You just kind of say how many people you are. We had a fun meal, and after that we even went and picked up some authentic desserts, none of which meant anything to me, but they were lovely. Here's a clip of me trying one of the desserts for the first time. I couldn't even tell you what it is, but it was actually really, really nice.
Alright, Shopee haul. For those of you who don't know, Shopee is basically this online platform. Imagine if either Bol.com or Amazon had a love child with Temu. That's basically Shopee. So it's cheap. Sometimes it's pretty bad, but sometimes they have some, affordable stuff. So today I got 2 shirts. I got this tank top, the ribbed tank top. I'm trying so hard not to call it a wife beater. I got this in 2 colors. I got the white and the black. These are cheap. I'm just trying them out to see if I like it and if I can style it, and if I can, then I might buy more.
After seeing my last week's vlog, a Dutch friend of mine told me he was actually in town, so we met up for dinner. We had yakiniku, which was lovely. After that, we hung out with a cat and actually went to a club.
Book update. So last week I said that I had an unusual week in terms of the amount of pages that I read because I read so many. What I didn't realize is that I'm actually just built different. So this week I once again read close to 500 pages in 1 week, which is kind of crazy if you think about it. So Updates. Last week I read the Flatshare. I started on the Flatshare, which is like a rom-com friends to lovers book. Very bingeable, very easy to read. And I actually managed to finish it this week. I just finished it this morning. So yeah, that one is at 100%. Then the book club continued. So we are currently going from chapter 12 up and until chapter 22, which means it's about another 30-ish%. I've actually made quite a bit of headway. I am on 49% of the book total, which I believe is chapter 19. So I'm actually coming close to finishing that already. And that was all today. I had a good session. In terms of what I'm gonna be reading, next week I will start Jade City, which is the first part in the Greenbone saga by Fonda Lee. So be on the lookout for that. So to tell you about how and why I moved to Singapore, I actually debated telling either one of two forms of the story. I think I'm gonna go for the longer version because I feel that it's a bit more full circle. For those of you who are not familiar with the term the butterfly effect, it's this theory where if a butterfly flaps its wings, which is a very small act, it can lead to something life-changing. And the idea behind it is that the smallest decisions can lead to the biggest outcomes. And I'll circle back to why I bring that up as I tell this story. So in 2018, at the start of 2018, I had just started getting into music festivals and I wanted to step it up to the next level. And so I decided to try and acquire tickets and go to the biggest music festival in Europe, Tomorrowland. At the time, I had a couple of problems. I did not have money. I was broke. I was a student. I did not have a ticket, and they are notoriously difficult to acquire. And 3, nobody wanted to go with me. So I did what any sensible person in my position would do, is I went on to Reddit. I went on r/Tomorrowland, and one of the first posts I saw was this link to join this WhatsApp group chat, which was just a bunch of people that were going to Tomorrowland either by themselves or with a group of friends or just in some combination. And you could join that group and ask questions and meet people and eventually make sure that you don't actually end up going to that festival alone. So I joined the group, and that's like the butterfly moment, is me joining this random WhatsApp group chat. So fast forward to that summer, I had a great time. Met so many people from all over the world and a really good Tomorrowland experience. Shortly after that, this is still in 2018, me and a bunch of people that I met at or surrounding Tomorrowland got the opportunity to all at the same time travel to Malaysia. At this point, I had never left Europe. I had traveled to France, I had traveled to Italy, I had traveled to the UK at some point, but I had never left Europe proper. So this was my first big trip in that sense. I went to Malaysia, we had a fantastic time. It was so beautiful and so nice, and we had such a great time. That was when I decided that I wanted to go back to Southeast Asia in whichever way, shape, or form. The next year, I was able to sign up for an exchange program via my university, basically where you can do one semester at a partnering university abroad. So, go figure, I signed up for Hong Kong. But I didn't get it. So I got my second choice, which was Singapore. And so in doing so, I signed up for one semester at NTU Singapore. This was the second half of 2019 is when I went to NTU. I went to NTU, I lived on campus, I met a bunch of people. I joined NTU MJ, the dance school there, and generally had a fantastic semester living in Singapore. After that ended, I moved back to the Netherlands. All of COVID happened, and during that time, I had gotten the idea that I wanted to go back to Singapore at some point. After COVID, I joined the company that I'm currently with, but then the Dutch branch, and I very quickly made it known to them that I had the intention to go back to Singapore, or that I wanted to work in Singapore, either on a project there or at some sort of exchange situation, whichever way, shape, or form. They were respectful of that and they wanted to support me in that, so that was super nice. And I think within a year of me joining this company in the Netherlands, I had gotten into contact with one of the people that I now am in the team of here in Singapore. Eventually, we reached the conclusion that we both were excited about me coming to Singapore, and the goal was for me to move to Singapore in September of 2024. That was 1 year ago. Things happened, things you cannot predict, both within the company and personally, and it was delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed. And so eventually March of 2025 comes around. And at this point, I was getting close to giving up on this idea that I was going to go to Singapore. But just as you think that, I got an email saying, hey, we have a spot for you, update your resume, send it to us, and we will do everything we can to get you here as soon as possible. Fast forward to June, I think. Contract was signed, visa application was approved, everything was set in stone for me to go to Singapore. Mind you, this is all very fast. 6 months to do this large-scale immigration is very big and very rushed. But with the help of everyone here on this side of Singapore, and with the help of my friends and family at home in the Netherlands, we were able to get it done, and basically allowed me to make this giant step towards this new adventure, which is very cool and very exciting. So that's kind of what I mean when I say the butterfly effect, right? I understand that this is a large series of interlinked events, but had I never joined that group chat, I would have never met the people that I ended up meeting, which means I would have never gone to Malaysia, at least in this capacity, which means I might have never signed up to go to an exchange program here in Singapore. Another one of those, if I had gotten into my first choice of Hong Kong, first of all of the universities that were in Hong Kong at that time, or all of the students, got sent back because of the political situation going on at the time there. So that was also another stroke of luck. So had I never gotten to Singapore, I would have never fallen in love with this country and its food and its people and its culture and everything, and I might have never moved back. So it's interesting to reflect upon and see all of these small interlinked events and small moments make up something as large as this, because for me, moving to the other side of the world is probably one of the most life-changing things I've done. So it's interesting to think about that every time you make such a small, seemingly non-impactful decision, it can lead to something very big, very much down the road. So cool. That's the story of how I moved to Singapore. Thanks for listening.